Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to go over some of my most surprising knives I did not expect to love from 2023. For one reason or another, it could have been the steel choice or the looks or the price tag. So let's get started. First up, we have the Monikala Knives Assault Team #1. And this one was an Amazon Knife of the Month pick. And the reason I started doing that little segment on the channel a few years back is because I was trying to find well-priced knives that were decent enough to buy, so you didn't buy it because you liked the way it looked and it was a terrible knife. So I picked this one up, part of that segment. Did not expect much because this knife came in at like 36 bucks, and it has a compound ground 14C 28M blade with titanium scales. So when I got it, I did not expect this to really be titanium. Now I'm sure it's like grade 2 titanium or something like that. So I anodized it. As you can see here, hopefully it's coming across, that's blue, and then I left this side silver just so you can see the contrast. So it definitely is some sort of titanium. And then I did not expect the 14C to even be 14C or even perform decent. Well, it's got a deep hollow grind, so it's nice and thin in this portion right here, and it's still kind of thin in the flat ground portion. I tested it, and this 14C absolutely blew me away. Now, is this going to be a knife that will wow you if you have tons of titanium knives? No, probably not, unless you need a good beater. This is an outstanding beater. It's not a perfect knife by any means, but it's got good action. It's pretty darn comfortable. It's got a deep carry pocket clip. And I think it looks nice. You know, if you've never had a titanium frame lock and you want to dip your toe in that market, this is a pretty good way to start. You know, like I said, it's not going to wow anybody, I doubt. But for the price point, I think you'll be happy with the knife for sure. I know I was pleasantly surprised enough that I bought the other version. They have it in titanium, or I think 36 bucks. I don't know if these are available right now, but I will link everything that is available down in the description. They will probably be affiliate links. If you want to help support what I do here on the channel, that's awesome. If not, no harm. They also have it in carbon fiber, and the carbon fiber version comes in at 33 bucks. I did not expect, I thought it was going to be a carbon fiber G10 laminate, but to my surprise, it's a thick chunk of carbon fiber over stainless steel liners. This one has a pretty good action. It's not a robust knife. You're not going to do any hard use tasks with this, but super smooth action. And for the price, you know, it's just one that's pretty darn hard to beat. Next up, we have the Remette Steed. And I have a suspicion that these smaller companies that we see on Amazon that start putting out premium knives and stuff like that, and I've tested a lot of them coming from Remette and Xtouc. I think in order for them to make a positive impression on us, being that the knife industry has just exploded in the last few years, there's so many different companies, you got to do something that will bring your customer back to you. So I think knives like the Steed and the Remette WD 104, is it? I think that they're putting that extra little touch in them, like the heat treat. I think they're running these at an optimal heat treat with small batches so they can get to that optimal heat treat, because I've had the Remette knives perform just outstanding, and I've had the Xtouc knives perform outstanding. So I think that's how, in the beginning, I'm not saying, you know, this is something that is a definite, but it just seems like in the beginning, for sure, in order for them to get you to come back, they raise the bar up quite a bit. And the Steed wasn't something that I was really too interested in because it's a flipper only knife. But what I will say, this thing flips outstanding. And when I reviewed it, I noticed that they have this little bit of texture right there. Well, that little bit of texture allows you to thumb flick it, to slow roll it. And that right there was enough to get me excited about the knife. Then I tested it. It did great. And overall, it's just a really good knife. Number 3, we have the Kizer Kobold 2. And I gotta say, whenever I saw this in pictures, I did not find it to be an aesthetically pleasing knife. I mean, that's just my opinion. But whenever I got this one first, this one's micarta and 154 cm, the action is ridiculous. That reverse flick action's awesome. It's a drop shut knife. The front flipper works great. The ergos are outstanding. And then you have that little scoop right there that is functional to do, you know, like a drag cut. Excellent utility blade shape. Love the raw stone wash. And then they dropped this one. Now this one's the most impressive, and this is probably the one I carry the most. I know some people don't like the black blades. That's why I showed the original one that I still, this one's the one I, first kind of fell in love with. But then this one came out, and this is probably one of the best bang for the buck out there. You have aluminum scales over stainless liners, and you have a CPM 4V blade, which 4V is like M4 on steroids. It's got excellent edge retention. It's fairly tough. It takes a wicked sharp edge. This thing slices well. And right now, you can get these for 76 bucks. You're not going to find another knife in 4V at that price, I promise you. That is insane. Number 4, we had the Vosteed Morel. Now this one right here, the first thing that kind of turned me off a little bit is whenever I found out that this knife was going to be in N690. Not something we've seen from Vosteed before this knife that I'm aware of. So I even looked in my DMs and I even said, why did y'all decide to go with N690? Now, I'm going to be honest here. My feeling toward N690 was because I've had some N690 in the past that was ran very soft, and I formed my opinion because of that, because I hadn't had anything that was heat treated properly. That happens often, and it happens a lot in the knife community. Somebody will get a knife from either a cheaper company or a company that, or a lemon, and a steel like N690 VG10 is another one that I had that opinion about. That has now changed, but they get one that has a soft heat treat on it, and the steel performs terrible. And then that's their opinion on that steel from here on out. That happens all day with D2. So I tried to kind of block that out, and I tested this N690. I should have known Vosteed does an excellent job with their heat treats. Well, this knife alone has changed my opinion on N690. I always knew it could be a good steel. Like I said, I've had too many bad ones to form that opinion. And yeah, this knife has grown on me more since I reviewed the knife. I don't think I had the most glowing review of this whenever I did the review, but sometimes it takes a little bit more carrying, using, and trying to see, did I miss something? And I would say I got it wrong on this one. And number 5, we have the Christmas Story lamp. I just think it looks like that lamp from A Christmas Story in the closed position. This is the high heel right here. That'll definitely start basing your opinion on the knife before it even gets to you. I didn't love the way the pocket clip looked, but boy, am I glad I was able to check the knife out. It's got beautiful action. The handles are contoured, and it's got this texture. It's very comfortable in hand. S90V steel. Just watch this action. Boop. And you even have external stops. That gives it a lot of toughness, up and down toughness, because the blade is pinned in with the stop pin and the lockup right now. So up and down, very tight lockup. And it also helps the side to side. No play at all, because you can't really go anywhere because it's already touching the scales. The Ares, definitely the first surprise that I got from PMP knives, because a lot of their knives are just super overbuilt knives that maybe aren't the best EDC knives, besides like the User 2 and some of those type. They make more of the overbuilt, which I love as well. But, this one was the first one that I started carrying a lot. I love the overall aesthetic, especially in the open position. I love that blade shape. It's a versatile blade shape. I can get that tip on the things. If you had to go into a bag of potato chips, it's right there. This one was a happy surprise right here. Gonna drop back to budget again with the Petrified Fish PF719. Even though it wowed me in a regard, it's still one that I don't recommend as much because it doesn't have a pocket clip. If Petrified Fish sees this and y'all want to make this a knife that I'll recommend a lot more, slap a pocket clip on here. And one other thing, give us a little bit more lock bar access by grinding this portion out of the G10 where y'all have that chamfer go all the way down to there. So it's a lot easier to disengage that lock. If that was done, I would recommend this knife so much more. If that stuff doesn't bother you, I can highly recommend this knife. This is a $29 knife. It's got a full flat ground 12C27 blade, and it's been a while since I tested any 12C27. It's an excellent Sandvik steel, and I don't think I ever released my testing. I don't think I did the review on this one for some reason. I think I just got, pushed to the side because it's something that I bought. And this one in 12C just wowed me, like a lot of the Petrified fish knives I've tested. The Beluga was the first one that just shocked me for the price point. I like the overall aesthetics of this knife. I like the polished G10. It's so smooth and comfortable. Slap a pocket clip on there, at least for like the G10 model or something. You can keep the other ones. I think this would be a great knife. It's fairly lightweight. They could take this steel backspacer, they could put G10 there, lighten it up a little bit. I think this would be an excellent EDC knife. It's very slim, sleek. It's got good action. I think it looks nice. It performed really, really well. Number 7, we have the PMP Beast Prime. And I just thought it was going to be another folding pry bar, honestly. And if you hadn't watched my review of this, go check it out for sure. I know this is probably the most expensive knife on this list, and it's probably the most surprised I've been out of the PMP overbuilt knives. I mean, look at that thick stock. It's got beautiful action, obviously, because of that heavy blade. But I think what made this such a good knife as far as how overbuilt it is the deep hollow grind we have right here. Comes down pretty darn thin. Now, it's going to start thickening up pretty quick, the more and more you sharpen it. But as it sits, this is CPM 3V. It's super tough, and I showed that, hammering this through thick copper wires. And it slices very, very well. That thin hollow, and then you have a thicker tip portion up here with a flat grind. Yeah, this one was a very unexpected, awesome knife. Number 8, we have the Xtouc Raiden S. And I initially got put off because I'm not a huge fan of the Lightning Anno anymore. I've done it too many times for whenever I was doing it for customers. But I think it was more this blade, and we'll get back to that theory I have about these smaller companies putting out their best in the beginning to draw us in and keep us coming back. After testing this one, I was so impressed, I reached out to Xtouc and I asked him what the HRC was on this M390 blade. And he said 60 to 62, and I definitely believe that. I would say it's probably closer to like 61, or closer to that 62 mark, because it performed very, very well. And another thing that kind of confuses me, and we see this a lot, this is the Xtouc Raiden S. Well, you have a G10 variation of this knife, but it's not Xtouc, it's Remette. So are they, a sister company, or is it the same company, just two different names? I don't know. But I do know I was pretty impressed with the Raiden S. Number 9, another Amazon Knife of the Month pick, and my most bought present knife this year. And this is the Olitans TO24. After the Monikala knife, this was the second most wowed I was with a knife that I had in my series for the Amazon Knife of the Month pick. This blade performed outstanding. It's in 9CR, 18 MOV. It's a replaceable blade system. You just unscrew this, and then that little pin and that hold this blade steady, and it's very, very strong. I showed that in my testing. It did not loosen up at all. You get a nice versatile drop point, and then you also get two other blades, a fully serrated and a sheep's foot blade. Not to mention, this is titanium scales, vibrant G10 backspacer. The action on this thing is redonkulous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful action. And being that I can choke up right there, it's very comfortable. I bought my brother one of these. He's a hunter. He absolutely loves it. I bought one of my friends one of these. He also does some hunting, and he brings it to the job site, and he absolutely loves it. I will definitely be buying more of these to gift to people, because this knife only costs 54 bucks. 54 bucks. Whenever I was first looking at this, I figured for 54 bucks, I'll try it out and see if it might be a decent knife. Well, it's way more than a decent knife at the $54 price point. All three blades are 9CR 18 MOV, and I tested this one, and I also tested the sheep's foot one, They both perform great. I didn't really do any testing on the fully serrated blade. I'm not a big, I don't use serrations all that often, so these are the only two I tested. So in number 10, we have the Kizer Huntsmen. Now this one I wasn't sure about because it's a pretty far out there looking design. Check that blade out. Kind of has that Grimsmo Norseman vibe going on with this banana shaped blade or whatever you want to call it. But it was this knife that got me really enjoying the recurve blade the most this year. If you've never used a recurve, buy a cheap one and try it out, especially if it's ground decent. It traps material, and when you're pulling through, that belly gets deeper and deeper, and it basically draws the material in for you. It helps the cut. And then you have that secondary tip right there to, easily get down into something to pull through. And then you have this belly up here in the front that you can do these rocking motion cuts if you wanted to. S35 VN. If you like different, this is as different as they come. And another thing that was really impressive with this knife is this comfortable handle. For my medium-sized hands, this thing is butter. Super comfortable because you have this wide portion down here, those contoured scales. My two fingers fit perfectly right here. It fits my hand like a glove, and you can get right up on that edge so you can really control your cuts. Bring this hunting. I think it would be an awesome hunting tool. You can use this portion right here to do your small game skinning, your more power cuts with that recurve. Now, of course, it's got beautiful Kizer action. You also have thumb studs and that blade window to reverse flick. And I talked to the designer and talk about he is a nice guy. I think this is his first design that he put out. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. There's his maker's mark. Yeah, this one was definitely a happy surprise. I love the fact that they went with the carbon fiber on both sides. And this is a big knife. I don't know if these are available right now, but when they are, I will link them for y'all. I couldn't find any available at this moment. They only did a small run in the beginning, kind of like Kizer usually does. Well, that does it for today's video. Do you have any knives like this that you bought that you weren't 100% sure on and it was a pleasant surprise once you started using it? Or, once you got the knife, you fell in love with it. Let me know if you, like I said, have any of these. I'd love to hear them. I love reading those kind of things. And let me know which knife out of these is your favorite. Like I said, if you like any of these, they will be linked down in the description. All right, guys and girls, I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful New Year's Eve. And everybody, please be safe. Don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it. And I will see y'all next year.